Everything you do in a video game has to be done at least somewhat on purpose. Obviously, there are things that are the products of unintended consequences, but for the most part, when you get into something in a game, somebody made it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 things developers knew we would try. At number 10, in the Resident Evil remake, when you clear out rubble with a rocket launcher, you can just tell the developers had fun with this remake. On top of all the expected updates and changes, they added a lot of new interactions just for fun. There are some things that they just knew players would try, and the game rewards you for your creative thinking. I've talked about the trick where you can shoot the bell to end the opening village attack, which is pretty amazing, but that's far from the only thing you can do to make certain encounters end immediately. There's a few points where you have to destroy some rubble or break through a wall, like in Chapter 11, where you have to get some dynamite, or near the end of the game where Ashley uses a wrecking ball to break through the wall. These can be pretty challenging sections, but there is a way to get through them faster. A rocket launcher. Yes, a rocket launcher. Seriously, just shoot the obstruction with a rocket and you're good to go. I'm not sure what clever player thought of this trick first, but I know it was not possible in the original game, so the devs just put it there for fun. If you're going through a new game plus, this is the ideal way to get through these sections. It's expensive in terms of ammo, obviously, but I mean, so is fighting a bunch of enemies. And it's just pretty amazing it actually works. At number 9 is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's skipping of the shrine. Tons of clever tricks players have figured out to get through the many shrine puzzles of Breath of the Wild, obviously. Most of these are not something that a player would stumble into naturally. Like, they're things you gotta go out of your way to figure out for the most part, and I'm talking about the real complex tricks here. But there's just as many clever shrine tricks that anybody can do if they're clever enough. One shrine with a hilariously blunt exploit is found just outside Hateno Village. It's that annoying one where you have to guide a ball through the maze with the gyro controls. It's super annoying, especially if you're playing in handheld mode, but there's a solution that makes the whole process a lot easier. Instead of slowly and carefully rolling the ball around, pretty much everybody just uses the physics engine in their favor by just flipping the table and trying to send the ball flying into the goal. Apparently, a lot of exploits like these were known to the developers and intentionally left in for players to find. It's one of the many reasons Breath of the Wild is great. It just lets players experiment and deal with problems their own way, which is not like a lot of open world games out there, which are very, very much like, hey, you gotta do this, and this is how you do it, so do it this way or else. And number 8 is Bioshock Infinite's trying to shoot the Lutesses. So in FPS games, all you really have is a gun, so everything is a target. What's that phrase? When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail? So it should really come as no surprise that when given the option, most players will at least try to see what happens when they get the chance to shoot an NPC. Most games don't let you do it at all, or just give you a quick game over. Bioshock Infinite is a little more creative with it. Sure, there's moments where you just can't shoot someone, but there's at least one set of characters who will react if you try to shoot them. The Lutess twins are your strange guides throughout the floating city of Columbia, and it's pretty obvious right from the start there's something very off about them. I mean, when you first encounter them, they just stand there and tell you not to wait for them to leave, but the second you look away, they disappear. These two are clearly stringing you along and have somewhat sinister motives, at least that's how it seems. So it's only natural to try and shoot them when you get the chance, and if you do, all they're just gonna say is, you missed. Try to shoot them again, they'll say missed again. And it just keeps going and going like that, with them explaining that you impossibly miss them over and over again with different lines for a surprisingly long time. They eventually say we can do this all day.
The question is, can you?
Obviously you can't shoot them, but the fact that they acknowledge your attempted murders is pretty unusual, and it actually gives a pretty big clue as to what these guys are all about. At number 7 is Deadpool using the toilet. Some reason video games are obsessed with toilets. If there's a toilet, you better believe you can flush it. Some games go further. An infamous example is Duke Nukem Forever. Not just because it's Duke Nukem Forever, but he exclaims an immortal line in it. Why
am I doing this?
While scooping a turd out of the toilet with his mostly bare hands. So yeah, that's not even the thing we're talking about in this point either. That's the setup. So when the Deadpool game starts, it lets you wander around his apartment and look at stuff. What do you think that a lot of players do? Yeah, most of us make a beeline for the commode. Oh, did I say video games are obsessed with toilets? I meant video gamers. But this time the devs were ready. Instead of just the customary flush, you get the full bathroom experience with Deadpool sitting down and doing his business in real time. And yeah, he insults you and calls you a freak for this, of course.
Join the show, freak.
I don't think that anybody actually wants to see Deadpool take a dump, but the devs knew you would try to use the toilet anyway. And number 6 is the evil within trying to stab the sadist. This is one of those games that starts real fast. Right after the relatively brief intro, you find yourself hanging from a meat hook at the mercy of a hulking killer the game just calls the sadist. Right at the start, you get a knife, so the obvious first instinct is just stab the guy in the back. You can do it to every other enemy in the game, and it's perfectly effective, but this is made of tougher stuff. You're supposed to avoid him, but come on, you get a knife. Wouldn't it be easier to sneak up and take him out permanently? The developers knew you were going to try to do this, so they give you the backstab prompt, but instead of taking the guy out, he just turns around and kills you right away. They knew you were going to do it. They knew exactly what you were doing there. Like, they wanted you to think you were being clever, but instead of rewarding you, they're like, ha ha, not this time, my friend. And number 5 is Psychonauts 2, typing in a swear. Another one of those common game tricks players love to try. Most of the time, games don't let you put in certain words or phrases. You know, like when you're giving a character a name. Most of the time, games don't even acknowledge what you're doing. But a few react in some way. Psychonauts 2, one of those games. These games are kind of filled with weird little details and Easter eggs that reward players for experimenting with things. But this one actually kind of caught me off guard. In the level Kruler's Correspondence, there's a puzzle where you have to type out a character's name to advance through the level. For the cheekier players out there that want to type in some foul language, the game actually notices and censors whatever word you put in. On top of that, the voice of Ford Kruler makes a few comments and complains about your vulgar outbursts.
That's a possibility. Language in a high-class establishment like this.
It's a relatively small detail, and most devs don't really bother with stuff like that, especially when we're talking about a random puzzle in the middle of this game. This isn't something important like naming a character, it's just a word puzzle. Not that big of a deal, but a fun find nonetheless. And number 4 is Metal Gear Solid 5, trying to ride a Fulton balloon. So we've talked about the Fulton recovery system on this channel quite a few times. It's been around a long time at this point. Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't exactly a new game. It is a ton of fun though. You strap a balloon to somebody or something and it zips away. It's downright silly in the best possible way, and you know, it's just one of many little things that I guarantee you in Metal Gear Solid people want to try. These games are full of those things. I didn't realize that you could mess around with the Fulton though, in this way anyways. I'm sure a lot of people did try it out though.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
When you get the upgraded balloon that can grab stuff like shipping containers, it's actually possible to use the balloon after attaching it to the shipping container to ride the shipping container back to base. It's basically a faster and easier way to call in an extraction, which is pretty great if you need to make a quick exit.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
At number 3 is Red Dead Redemption's Shooting Herbert Moon. Remember that miserable shopkeeper in Armadillo? Everybody hates this guy, and Rockstar knows that everybody hates this guy. Not just because of his scene in Undead Nightmare, but because of this. In Red Dead 2, you can finally return to Armadillo in the epilogue, and surprise, surprise, that's where he is. This guy loves to drop an inflammatory line or two, and yeah, people are gonna want to shoot him.
Alright, let me know if you need me to read something to you, though. Oh, don't you point that iron at me!
This is a robbery. Open that register.
Please! Armadillo needs Herbert Moon! Fine, do all you want. I'll even open it for you. What a triumph. You're basically stealing from the entire town of Armadillo.
Now, even just having a memory and remembering him in the other games might do the same thing. You might not even have to drop one of those inflammatory lines. But in RDR2, shopkeepers always eventually come back, even if you kill him. Herbert Moon is special, however. If you kill him and see him again when he comes back, he will say, "As long as America lives, I live." And that's why we're going to steal the Declaration of Independence. No, he's the one dude who knows that he was shot and maybe killed, but he can't die. Not until you destroy the United States of America anyways, which isn't gonna happen. These games are set back in cowboy times, and obviously it's still around today, so good luck with that. Wait, does that mean that Herbert Moon is still around today? Is he wandering around selling crap and saying horrible things? I don't know. RDR2 doesn't have a whole lot of like Metal Gear style time paradoxes, so I'm gonna say this is the next best thing.
I'm not ready. Get away. Why are you doing this? Saints above. Oh, good. Won't you leave me in peace?
At number 2 is Tunic, spawning items in purgatory. This is a really weird one, so try to follow along. In Tunic, there's a puzzle involving a fake save file known as a purgatory save. Normally, you can't do anything in this world. It's just basically another piece of the game's biggest, most complex puzzle. The thing about this save is it's specifically designed so you can't kill yourself. Like, you don't have any weapons that can do that, so of course, players are going to look for a way to die here. Eventually, players begin to discover that you can use the game's mysterious Holy Cross to summon consumable weapons like bombs. All you need to know is the code. With a few fire bombs in hand, it's possible to die in purgatory, which any other game would just make it so nothing happens, but in Tunic, the devs are all about rewarding outside-the-box thinking, so instead of just killing you, dying in this place sends you to a prototype version of the game that hides even more secrets. There are unused enemies, some interesting mysteries to find that maybe are just dead ends, but it's a cool little surprise. And at number 1, Futurama, the game using the suicide booth. Don't want to say that word too many times. This is YouTube after all. I'm not sure how much they're going to like it. So remember that thing from the first episode of Futurama? I mean, you might not. That episode is over 2 decades old at this point. It came out in 1999. But the concept doesn't require a lot of explaining. Futurama is set in the future, and of course, there are booths that you can go into and press a button and it'll kill you. Pretty dark joke now that I think about it, but by the time the game rolled around, the developers probably knew that you'd be looking for it in the game. It's here, and it's exactly what you would expect. You go into the booth, press the button, and whoever you're playing as dies.
Yeah, coin of the realm. Son of a...
I mean, what else was gonna happen? It's right there on the name. They knew players would try this thing. It's that simple. Even though it's so obvious what's gonna happen, hell, I bet people would have complained if it wasn't in the game though. Or worse, that it did something unexpected, like, I don't know, gave you an extra life or something. Nobody wants that. No matter how blunt and stupid and obvious that this thing is, it's gonna kill you. And nobody would accept it any other way. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.